fighting the government.
Yes.
It should be much easier to get various departments to converge into one place. But in the rest of the country, it's very difficult.
Correct.
Now, if you're dependent on Manrega, now the poor fellow who's the last man, he needs just the final instruction. As to this line, you have to do like this. This you have to do. Just plant this here. This much deep. This is the thing, and that's it. He's not required to think. He's only required to do.
So what would be your suggestion as to taking up projects which is related to embankment or any kind of restoration work which uses vetiver?
For the embankment and restoration are slightly different things. Although in an embankment there has to be restoration. Primarily there is restoration also. When you have an embankment, 90% it is eroded by something. There is some filled area, some other area, some prepared area. Vetiver has to be given time to take root. Once that those vetiver rows are allowed to take root, and one season has passed, then it's very rare that the vetiver root will be moved. Below ground activity will start. That below ground activity will hand over the whole project to the nature. So the people looking after the final people looking after the planting of the vetiver, they have just to see that there's no mishap happens. But as nature takes over, then in between the rows there is activity, and depending on the climate of the place, the local flora and fauna, the bees and everything and birds will come, and automatically plants that can grow in that area will fill up the rest of the place. Then your slope is stabilized. Not vetiver alone. Vetiver alone is there, but in between the rows, vegetation will come. That will further stabilize the thing, and the load is not on the two rows of vetiver.
Thank you, sir. So one more question I have for you is that the government of West Bengal has taken up a big drive through the Sabujayan project, which uses vetiver in the MG NRGS scheme and is doing well. So and it's also trying to apply in different areas, and you know it has been highly successful in West Bengal. What is your from your experience? What is your suggestion to the government, and how do you think the government can prosper better with vetiver?
It's very heartening for people like me to note that the government has taken so much of interest and has facilitated it, found a facilitating source of funding, at least of the labor and also of the material. And the only thing important in that to note is A, the quality of the material doesn't vary, and B, there has to be some agency which is monitoring the technical aspects, the nuances. There's one. It's not simply a straight line affair that this much, this many plants per meter, and this is the vertical distance between rows. No, that's not enough for in general. I mean, in specific places, you may need some special treatment where technique and little knowledge of engineering, preferably an engineer, is required. Where there's a simple slope, say 45-degree slope, 60-degree slope, according to 60-degree slope, this is the vertical distance, this is how it is done, and it's uniform throughout, then it's all right. Under MG Rega, you are planting it, it's fine. But once there's a variation in the topography, or there are some rills and irregularities which are to be filled, you need some experience guidance on the spot.
Thank you, sir. As of now, we see that the government has taken simultaneous drive in doing handicrafts, doing restoration work, and in the same time, it is also taking an initiative in the oil extraction process. Now, how do you think the mix should be for the government, and what is your inputs on this? As you know, that this could also be undermining the use of vetiver.
I am personally uh, very much against mixing the oil part with the engineering part, because in our country uh, the the greed starts driving everything at a later stage. Now, when you are planting whatever for soil stabilization, you should not be tempted to pull out that vetiver and extract oil from it. Now, I'm sorry to compare, but in a place where the toilet of a railway train and the mug in there needs to be tied to a chain, lest somebody steals it. When you stabilize a slope and the root is oil rich, somebody gets an idea that, oh, I can have access to public oil, so he'll just pull it out and sell the roots. That is one aspect. Second aspect is getting most of the vetiver that was already there before uh, India Vetiver Network and all that came in. The most of the vetiver that was there in the Indo-Gangetic plain was of the seeding variety. So seeding variety roots, the vetiver plantlets are available at 20 paisa, 10 paisa, 15 paisa. They can afford to give that. They are just because they have extracted the oil, they don't need the balance of the thing. But if we use such vetiver for soil stabilization, it is seeding there. So seeding variety should not be used. It has we have to ascertain that the main stock from which other stocks are made is of the non-seedy South Indian variety.
So you are suggesting, sir, that there should be separate provisions for each outputs that we get, which means that if it is for restoration, it has to be treated in a different manner, and which is for oil extraction or any other purposes should be given a different dimension. What is your
You
suggestion?
see, since the use of we have connected it to handicraft and all that, since the handicrafts and other things are a different ball game, the handicrafts that were made out of root are of roots that are pulled out, and of the non-seeding variety in the South India, they are using it. But if the same roots are oil rich here in North India, and you have put it on a slope, and some poor man will knows it, and he'll be tempted to pull out that. That is what my fear is.
Right.
So a medium to low oil content variety, which is good which has good engineering properties, is best for stabilization.
Thank you, sir. Sir, before we conclude this meeting or your interview, if you could tell a bit about your experience and the projects that you have worked, and how vetiver, a bit about the history of vetiver in India, so that we all get some learning material from you.
Well, history of whatever vetiver is an Indian plant, and the world discovered it from because of some Indians carrying a few plants just as a security when somebody must have gone to abroad to Fiji, Africa, any such places, and they knew about the oil. At that time, the engineering applications were not exactly known to them, and this is how the vetiver spread in the rest of the world. But vetiver was again reapplied and rediscovered from the engineering point of view when uh, people, especially the World Bank, took it up, and World Bank took it up in a big way. Just like, I mean, for example, in the first evidence of restoration was in India, where in a village called Banthra, the the agriculture scientist in charge of that area, he failed to do anything about the barrenness of the land. The land was not only barren; it was poisonous. So poisonous that even a poisonous tree will not grow. Maybe a few very poisonous bushes were there. So he tried growing vetiver. Vetiver grew, and then he advised the local farmers: you utilize this vetiver, reap it, and use it for your cattle. So that was all that he could do, and he did not anticipate anything more than that from that land. This was in the 50s, 1950s. In 1970s, somebody remembered there was a place called Banthra, which was bad, which had bad land and all that. So he asked someone, he says, where is Banthra? He says, here it is, you are in Banthra. He says, but this is a forest. He says, that's it. So that is the activity which is required, which we have to enable in an area uh, which is which has got barren land where nothing is growing, or poisonous land, or a lot of contamination in the land. Even stabilization, you need something to grow. If you have to stabilize with vetiver, you need something to grow. So that was the first example of vetiver enabling, as an enabler, as a forester or a reforesting agent. So this was a forest. There was nothing there, and the underground activity initiated, and the rest nature did. So once the birds and the bees come there, they there is interaction between various biospheres and the jungle dwellers.
Yeah, that's correct, sir. I think you are saying that it purifies the water. As soon the water gets uh, clearer, birds start coming into those zones, and automatically the ecological balance is established.
Not only it purifies the water, it stabilizes the soil, and there is a humus activity that starts in the subsoil region.
Correct.
So there that humus gives birth to certain microbes,
Correct.
and then those microbes take the shape of they adapt themselves to the various biospheres in that region, and then things start to happen. Nature does the rest. Vetiver is the enabler. Like in this Banthara case, you wouldn't find a single vetiver plant, but we started with vetiver. Remember that. So it will die, but it will cure the disease from the land.
Sir, a bit about yourself, and we can end this. A bit about yourself, sir.
I was facing a problem in Punjab rather Punjab was facing a problem of a holy river which was being contaminated by all sorts of discharges from the villages and towns wherever the river was flowing. And I wanted some plant, and I got in touch with Dick Grimshaw, and then we started with vetiver here. I opened up a nursery. The first aim was that, but then the same red tapeism and rigmarole started with the government. So I ended up doing nothing on the on the river, but then there were so many other applications that came up, and down the line we first used some in sanitation as a planted filter. Then there was a very prestigious museum which is in several hundred acres, and which had hillocks with rocky hillocks with nothing growing, and the plan of the architect was to have all sorts of trees there, and they had earmarked a place. Here we'll have this tree, here we'll have that tree, here we'll have this variety, here we'll have that variety. Ultimately, somebody thought of whatever, who knew that the CEO knew that CEO of the project knew that I was and had something to do with vetiver, and vetiver had something to do with this. So I was given one hillock. Just please stabilize this hill for us. So the idea was that the silt from the hill does not come on the road, and so that visitors are not bothered and no clogging of the swales is there, and that was it. But after the first rains, the picture started changing. There was by the time the next rains came, there was growth in between the rows, and the next and the next year, one would not believe that this hill was bare. And then after that, the vetiver needed no care because the nature had taken over. Then the following problems were solved. Number one is your silting, the silt spreading on the road. Silt which is spreading on the road is naturally cutting the hillock further and then bringing it down. That stopped first, then the silt stopped. Then that silt was flowing into the water body, which was supposed to be clear water, but they were spending lakhs of rupees on removing tons of silt every year. There was not a speck of silt after we took care of a special area, which was the catchment area of that water body. So we strategically grouped whole clumps of vetiver, not 2-3 tillers, whole clumps of vetiver in a strategic way, in a zigzag fashion, so that from one gap it stops in front of another vetiver plant, and the speed of the water is so slow that it can't carry any silt. Ultimately, there was no silt. On the very monsoon that we grew that vetiver, there was no silt in the tank. And after a few years, now I had occasion to again just view the historical Google Earth imagery, and it's unbelievable. If anyone goes there now, he wouldn't believe that there was this barren situation and treeless situation and such filth. So that was five or six things happened at the same time. Now, apart from this, there is an aspect which is to do with the overall scenario which I am working on it now. Uh, in the 50s, there was a big, massive flood in various districts in Haryana, which rendered thousands of acres of land barren. Now, I was called upon to do some sanitation projects there, decentralized wastewater management, wherein, apart from vetiver, there is the uh, underground anaerobic treatment first, then the aerobic anaerobic treatment in the planted filter, and then the purely aerobic treatment in a shallow pond. Now again, the problem in one of these villages, which were affected by that flood, the water table is still very high, and it's not good water. But this water which we are treating now needs to be put to use in a way that it does not further increase that water table, and it is put to effective use. And while I was working there, and also through Google Earth, I confirmed that there were very big white patches of land. Now my proposal is to apply the same logic as in that museum, and get this MNG Rega to work in these lands, and put rows of vetiver, so that that underground activity starts there, and in a matter of say 3 to 4 to 5 years, the land is fertile again. So three things will happen. One, the wastewater is taken care of, we treated it. Then the disposal is done in such a manner that another problem is tackled by that same water. How is it tackled? The vetiver rows will stop, the water will stop, go underground. It will dissolve some of the poisonous salts underground and go down. That is one action. Second action is the microbial activity, automatic microbial activity will start, and soil will improve in between rows. First, we'll try with some crop which needs which is hardy amidst the rows, and then the regular cropping can be done, and ultimately then the vetiver rows can go if they are not needed. So that will be a carbon, not only carbon neutral, it will be carbon negative. Our handprint of carbon would be much bigger than the footprint of the region. So the aim is, this is the beauty of this plant, that you have to just take intelligent action at the right place. And the nature will take care of itself. We are committed in the Paris Agreement. Now we are committed to the world equally as US is, or as the developed countries are, that we have to restrict our emissions or offset our emissions. If Mr. Nitin Gadkari has to build roads at the speed which he is building, then there needs to be forestation to counter. Only forestation can counter in the areas around those roads. The forestation should be rapid and immediate, and whatever can do it. I'm not privy to whether whether they are doing it or not, but they should.
So, what would be a suggestion for an sensitive zone, an eco-sensitive zone like Sundarbans? Because you see, West Bengal suffers a lot during the flood, and any suggestions? Because many times we have tried, and vetiver has failed in the region. So, any suggestions and inputs that you would like to give for vetiver plantation in
There,
for
there I
Sundarbans?
think the variety of whatever used should be top class. VS1 is one which used to be called VS1. There may be different names in different regions. But VS1 is a variety which is good, and which creates that atmosphere. And like whatever does not, whatever whatever helps uh, the local biosphere to develop. So whatever adapting to Sundarbans multi sphere atmosphere, and its multi high tide, low tide, then salty water, good water. So all these things, the whatever is capable of adjusting itself, and to also capable of encouraging other plants which are meant for that region, they will automatically come. You don't need to bring them and plant them. My experience says that whatever is suitable for that area will automatically come, provided the atmosphere, a stable atmosphere for a while is created. So that stability is to be provided by whatever, and it has to be planted in a very, it's not as simple as just in hedgerows. You may have to plant it in a different fashion. The thing has to be studied, how the water is coming, how it is flowing, at what time, in what season, how it flows.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for your time. And we would preserve this interview and try to interact with the concerned people whom we have to. Thank you once again for coming down to Calcutta and spending your valuable time with us, and particularly with Grameen Economic Development Work Center, which we are trying to use as a platform to do the different ecological work. And uh, we would like to have you back once more when we are doing the field observations and the field implementations through the irrigation department. Nice to meet you, sir.